Okay, so hopefully you've done a little bit of a Shavasana. And so lots of times we get out of Shavasana by doing a wind relieving pose. Now, what I like to do rather than a wind relieving pose is to do a core awareness pose. So wind relieving pose is typically just squeezing the right knee into your ascending colon, and you're supposed to like fart. But I actually like to keep my thigh parallel and my shin parallel to the floor and just kind of grab onto the back of my thigh with my right hand. Okay. And see if you can press your thigh away using the strength of your leg, but also pull the thigh towards you using the strength of your arm. So you might feel this a little bit in your core. But now see if you can imagine picking up your left leg. And first extend the left leg. So extend the left heel, point the left toes. You'll feel a little bit of core engagement now on the left side. And now imagine you're going to pick it up. Feel that core engagement there. And now pick up the left heel, just maybe about an inch. That's what it's mean to engage your core. And then release the left heel, release the right leg. Excuse me, Charlie. And let's try the other side. So again, you can do the wind relieving pose just by squeezing the knee into the chest, or you can do the core awareness pose. Move. So left thigh is perpendicular to the mat, left shin is parallel to the mat. Hold on to your thigh and just pull your left thigh with your left hand and press your thigh away using the strength of your leg. So that's going to feel a little bit of tension in your core, just a scotch. Now extend your left leg as far as you can. You're going to feel a beautiful extension in the top of the right hip. Now point your right toes and imagine you're going to lift your right foot. So just imagine it like you're getting ready to do it. Now you should feel a little bit of core engagement there. That's the start, and then you lift. Just about an inch. And then release the right toes, release the left thigh, and shake it out. Now we also do the weird sit-up, and I'm not a big fan of that. But I like to just kind of do a little bit of a spinal release. And then if you want to rock and roll back up to sitting, you can do so. Or you can just roll onto your stomach. Because now we're going to do our Cobra. Now, lots of times we do Cobra, and I never really got anything out of Cobra for I don't know how many years, until I started really feeling the strength in my lower back. And that's what we're really looking for. We're using the lower back. We're building the strong lower back, but also getting a little bit of a stretch in our core. But it takes a little bit of awareness. So let's roll onto our bellies. So again, hot yoga is a lot more disciplined than this. So I apologize if you are looking for something that's much more disciplined. I invite you to go find a 106-degree studio. So you press your toes into the mat, extend, find the extension. So just maybe wiggle your hips. Now your hands, they're not going to do the pushing. So lots of times we use our hands to come up into Cobra. Our hands are just kind of serving as a sort of a brace. So begin with your forehead to the mat and see if you can peel your chest off the mat Your shoulders are going to be opening, so your hands can be lower than your chest or just below your shoulders, or they can be out to the side. You decide. So let's see if we can peel, just using our back muscles, peeling the chest one vertebrae at a time, and open up. Open your shoulders. Extend your chest. See if you can bring your sternum a little bit higher. Pressing in with the top of your toes. Open up higher. And then release slow. You can relax onto one cheek. Take a breath, release your butt cheeks because they get tight. Now we do versions of locust pose. So you place your hands just kind of folding one on top of the other and place your forehead onto your hands and see if we can extend your right leg way behind you. So you might need to open up your hips a little bit by wiggling them back. So extend your right leg behind you. Just extend it back, 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 back. And then try to pick up your right leg. So this pose is often taught with your hands tucked underneath. I find that to be very uncomfortable and awkward for my bones as I age. So again, your head ultimately should be pressed into your hands, but I'm keeping my head up so I'm not crunching my mic. And then release the right toes. So what we're doing is we're getting a little bit of extension in the top of the right hip. And that's really what we're looking to do to alleviate back pain and to keep our joints healthy, because the top of our hip gets really, really tight with a lot of sitting. So let's do the other side. So extend the left toes far away, far, far, far away. You might even need to wiggle. I'm going to wiggle my hips just back a little bit. Extend the left toes way, 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 way back. Anchor your right hip into the mat. Extend the left hip away from you. And then see if you can pick up the left thigh off the mat. Keeping anchoring in your right hip. So the hip itself might not come off the mat. I mean, you can like actually move your hips off the mat, but that's cheating, right? So just see if you can anchor your hips onto the mat and just raise the thigh off the mat. Keep extending the left hip straight, anchoring through the right hip. And then release. You can windshield wipe your legs. So let's do both legs and see if we can get our arms into the action. Okay? So you can have your hands out to the side. You can do Superman. You can keep your hands like this, like you're going to do a Cobra again. You decide. You can even do skydiver. I think I'm going to do skydiver. Okay? So wherever you place your hands, let's see if we can do it. So let's see if we can raise our chest off the mat. Extend the legs behind you. Extend your thighs off the mat. Just feel the extension. The entire back body really working, strengthening. The front of your body getting nice, beautiful extension, stretch. And then release, relax. Come onto one cheek. So if you can imagine 106-degree temperature can be really, really trying. So these 10-second shavasana, 20-second shavasana between poses are really welcomed. But for me, I'm being annoyed by dogs and the cool air coming in. So I'm really anxious to get moving. So the next one is bow. And my bow has become very awful as I've gotten older, and that's fine. So I like to do bow, just kind of practice bow. So a half bow first. Okay. So because my left leg is a little bit wonky today, let's come on to our right elbow and see if we can find your left ankle. Oh my goodness gracious. I'm probably going to need to get a strap. So you can even roll onto one side and do half bow from here. And this might be a good start. See how this knee is just totally swollen. So this might be your bow. So this is like a lying down version of a dancer's pose, right? Or you can just play around with rolling onto your front and see if you can kick. Yeah, this leg is just not being my friend right now. But you're kicking into your hand with your left foot as you're allowing that to open the chest. And then release. Wow. Shake out the hips. So let's try the other side. So you may start off with rolling onto one side, and that might be your bow. Whoops! Right now. Or you can, so this side is obviously a little bit more compatible or working with me. So again, we just find just how that tension might be there and pressing your hip into the mat as you press your foot into your hand. So yeah, you're getting a quad stretch, but you're also seeing if you can unlock that front, the top of your thigh, the hip, which just gets so much crunching. And just notice how the chest can open up a little bit, the shoulder opens up. And then release, relax. So if you can do regular bow, that's fine. But I'm just doing the single bow because my knee is so incredibly stiff. All right, so lots of times we we can have a version of saddle. Now, again, I think even at my most limber, I could get into the full saddle, but I have found that it is not compatible with me considering my back surgery and all of my bad knees. So there's a couple of ways I like to do saddle. And one way is grabbing a block. And for me, I'm not crazy about this version of saddle because it really doesn't unlock the hips the way I want to. So traditional saddle is coming onto your knees with your heels a little bit out from your hips, and saddle is, basically just coming back like this all the way down to the mat. So your 20 and 30 somethings can do that, but even in my 30s, as you can see, I can barely even get onto, because again, this knee's got so much swelling in it right now. So right now I can't even sit on my block and even do saddle without it really torquing my knee. So in this case, what you can do is the same version of bow. Okay. So you can do the single bow like we were doing before. You can go into saddle. If you are lucky enough to have a yoga wheel, you can use that. So I find that this is like one of my favorite. You probably won't have it, but you can even do this pose actually off the edge of a bed. So right now, this is like a beautiful saddle for me because it just accesses a little bit of stretch in the hips, which is really what we're looking for. So I can hang out here if I want. And eventually, the hip will release and relax. But again, you can go into the saddle the way that we were doing before. The upward bow the way we were. But even so, you can just lean back a little bit, and you can lean back onto your couch or lean back into a chair and just get a little bit of hip opening here. So again, you can do it just many different ways. But right now, this is not the best version for me. Because like I said, my knee is just not happening. You can even do single. And then switch. But again, you can skip it all together, which I've done. And you can do to open up the hip, you can actually just do a nice, beautiful lunge with the focus on this hip, which is what I really, really need. So then we go from these more extreme back bends into, we do these back bend, forward fold, back bend, and it can be a little stressful for the spine, especially as you get older. And so what I used to do is I used to do all my back bends together and then did my forward bends, or I do all my back bends and then some core strength in the middle to kind of separate them, or I do the back bend, some core, and then forward bend, then core, or I do twists and stuff. But since I've just jibber jabbered for a couple of minutes, we're going to do this version of tortoise. Now, tortoise is an extreme forward fold, and you can sit onto your heels if that's possible. Now, your hands the hand grip is always kind of the tricky part, because the hands, it's been a long time since I've done it this way, but the hands are going to be, the fingers are going to be the inside, the thumbs on the outside, okay? And so lots of times what we do is we fall into tortoise. You can place your feet first, but what we're going to be doing is just kind of crawling forward until our nose meets our knees. And that's probably not going to happen. So let's just try to see what happens if we just start with our hands close to our feet and then dip your forehead at the top of your head onto the mat. And it's probably, your nose is probably not going to touch your knees, and that's fine. Your hips are probably going to be up in the air. And then from here, see if you can raise your hips high. Now, true rabbit pose, your hips are going to be way up in the air, and it gets a really, really nice back stretch. It's a kind of like a forward bend, but it's a very active forward bend. But again, this might actually be fine for you for now. So we have an internal rotation in the shoulders. You're going to get just an incredible extension of the spine, where it's actually a flexion of the spine, but you are working on really just feeling all the vertebrae, getting a little bit of a tug. And then come on down. Draw your hands forward and press yourself up. So that is just a very deep forward fold. And then we come into camel. So I'm going to put my one dog up here. Old girl. So again, if you've got a Dharma yoga wheel, you can do camel the same way I was doing saddle. So you can do camel this way if you've got a yoga wheel. But camel is actually pretty safe even if you have a sore back or a sore knee. So you want to have your palms on just your lower back, because what you're going to be doing is you're going to be pressing down. You're almost trying to extend your spine using your hands. So your fingers are facing down, open your shoulders. So find the extension here. And you should feel a little bit of stretch here. And this might actually feel good, and this might actually be your pose. Now press in with your hands, pulling down, like you're trying to just press your butt forward, but also press it down. And just open up the top of your chest. So it's like that. So you're not crunching into your lower back. You're actually opening your thoracic spine. So it's extending. So imagine the mid part of your back trying to pull it up and over without using your lower back. Because our lower back, even though it's much more mobile, lots of times we lose the mobility in our thoracic spine. So you should feel this from the top of your thigh, opening your shoulders, a nice extension in the front body, while the back body supports you. And then just very slowly coming up with awareness. And I like to do just a couple of twists. I'm sorry, I was doing rabbit, and I did rabbit rather than tortoise, but that's all right. I always got rabbit and tortoise mixed up anyway. Okay, so then let's do another forward fold. So we're going to be doing Janushirsasana. And so this is when we begin to start saying, okay, let's do this. Let's start ending this practice. So I love Janushirsasana for a few reasons. So let's draw the right ankle into the inner thigh of the left foot. And so you can do a much more rigid Janushirsasana, or you can just allow the body to fall into this and make it a little bit more of a pastas, because we've done a lot of work today. So make sure that you are extending into the spine first. So extend the spine. See if you can lift all the vertebrae off of one another, and then drop. So your right knee is going to be, your left knee is going to be bent just a little bit. And if you want to do a version of it, you can bend your knee so much that your forehead meets the knee. And that might be fine. That might be something you want to try. But I'm going to get a little bit more of the hamstring stretch because my knee is so wonky today. And what I actually like to do is a little bit more of a twist. So it's like a twisting version, but not a full twist. We'll do a twist in a moment. And just find how the body just recognizes, like, oh, wait a minute, I've done this. I can move this way if I move it slowly and mindfully. And then as we come on up, wow. And then bend the knee, maybe shake it out a little bit. And extend the right leg, and drawing the left ankle into, Mr. Bikram call it your costume. So again, you can do the more rigid version of it. You can bend the knee and draw your forehead to your knee, or you can do a little happy medium. So find the extension on your spine, maybe a little bit of a twist as you twist over the right foot. So just find the extension in the spine. Oh, the back feels really good when I twist on this side. And one thing I've noticed, especially when I have my knee swollen as it is, you realize how much the body will compensate when you have a small injury to one part of your body. The other body will have to work harder. And sometimes, it kind of gets stuck that way as that one part of your body heals. It kind of says, oh, hey, I kind of like this vacation. And then the other part of your body that compensates says, wait a minute, that's not fair. And then it gets injured. And then our body just feels completely out of alignment. Things just don't want to work the way that they used to. And then we abandon movement altogether. And let's come on up. All right, so now since our left foot is here, well done. Let's just do a little twist. So lots of times this follows the next pose, but let's just do it since we're here. So let's cross the left ankle over the left knee. And this might be what feels good for you. Or you can bend the right knee behind you. And this might be your version of a twist. So this might be good for you. This might actually feel great for you because it's going to do a nice little hamstring and hip stretch as your dog gives you his lamb chop. I know I'm encouraging him. So, but maybe you want to do a little bit more, so you can just kind of hug the left knee and then just kind of see what happens when your torso just kind of does a little bit of a twist. So we don't want to jar ourselves into the twist, but just kind of see where our body is right now. And wherever our left hand wants to land, let's do that. And let's find that as an anchor. Inhale, extend the spine straight. Exhale, open off to the left. And let's come back into neutral. So, let's just do a little something different. So let's see what happens if your legs are crossed or if your right leg is extended straight. Let's just see what happens when we just kind of fall forward a little bit, just maybe resting your belly on top of your left thigh. Just see what happens there. As we do a little freelancing for a moment. Off, off. I'm going to ignore you. This is a practice in concentration. Feel the extension in the spine as you fall forward even further. And then come on up. Uncross the legs. Maybe shake them out a little bit. Maybe do a windshield wiper a little bit. And now we need to go to the other side. So we did the Janushirsasana on the other side, but now let's just cross over the right ankle, over the left knee. And this might actually feel good. This might actually be your twist. I mean, this actually feels very, very good. Or you can bend the knee like so and do the twist from there. So however you want to do this version is up to you. So inhale, stretch the spine. Exhale, twist. So again, you don't need to place your hand and like find, I'm going to have a goal of, just kind of let your spine do the twist first and then plant your hand. And I find that having my elbow just kind of hooking my right knee actually just engages my shoulder a little bit, and it actually kind of feels kind of nice. So what I'm doing is I'm using the elbow to pull, or forearm to pull back. And that's actually giving a nice shoulder strengthen and stretch at the same time. So yeah, we can always do an extreme version of this twist, or we can do the more accessible version, which is just recognizing where our body is just today. Because I know for myself, I can do versions of postures when my knee isn't so cranky, but it's good to modify those postures when your body isn't fully cooperating with what you want to do, and recognizing how the body compensates. So let's come back into center. And since we did it on the one side, let's do it on the other side and just see what happens. So you can draw the ankle a little bit further forward and do a version of seated cow. So again, it doesn't have to be much. Just see if we can just kind of extend the spine and bring the belly button, maybe the top of the chest, onto the right thigh. So lots of times, again, if our knee is not working, or back or neck or something isn't working the way that we want it to, just, rather than saying, oh, this body is so old, just say, you know what, there was something that I wasn't aware of. There's a moment of lack of awareness that's caused this. And where does my body compensate? And what can I do to nurture it for a moment, but also expand and recognize, okay, while this is being healed, I also have to open up the places that contracted as a response. And sometimes it's a matter of just, sometimes just using a foam roller. And sometimes it's a matter of stretching a hamstring, stretching a quad, stretching the top of a hip that contracts and can cause the knee to swell. And let's come on up. And then let's extend the legs straight. And so if you ever gone to a hot yoga Bikram class, sometimes the forward fold is a little bit earlier. I like to place my fingers onto my big toes and walk my hips back, just to make sure that it's almost like a little massage, a little bit of like, okay, what more creakiness do we want to find? But it also just to get a little bit more of extension in the legs. You can bend your knees as you like. Just kind of let your belly, the bottom of your ribs, the top of your ribs, your forehead, whichever, and just fall forward. And the goal is not necessarily putting your head between your thighs, but if you want to do that, that's fine. But you also think about extending the spine straight. So maybe getting a little bit of the curl out of your lower back. You don't want to do, you don't want to do a total like rounding of the lower back, but you don't want to do an extension. But see if you can find a little bit of a neutral spine, and just find what happens when you try to extend the spine a little bit more, and see if you can eventually reach your toes with your nose. And I might be able to do that at one point in my life, but it might not be necessary. My torso is also much longer than in proportion to my legs, so that's why I'm as unflexible as I can be. Sometimes I can almost always touch my toes because my torso is so much longer, and that's just me. And just find the relaxation of what a forward fold can give you. And what I like to do sometimes is, like, lots of times your legs will just kind of open up. See if you can close them like a book and use your elbows to keep them together, and just tucking in just for a few moments. So it's not quite the yin version of this posture, but it's just recognizing what your body has endured. So as you notice that, the dogs were a little bit antsy through some of our practice, and now they've kind of settled down a little bit. And that's kind of what happens with our body when we're doing things that we're not used to. Our body kind of says, what? Wait, what? And it wants to run off like this little puppy likes to do. But eventually kind of says, oh, okay, well, let's Let's do this. And then very, very slowly, just kind of walk your hands and your torso up. So now we do a final breath practice, and this is actually one of my favorites. So you can come onto a very comfortable seat. You can sit on a block. You decide what you would like to do. I'm going to sit on a block today. And of course they do, I think it's like 2 sets of 30. But we're going to do Kabalabhati. And Kabalabhati is a good way for you to, you can work on your core strength. And it really is like a subtle, you can actually kind of engage the pelvic floor muscles, but also engage the lower core, the lower abs. But really the strength of the movement, the breath is actually coming from this one of your muscles, your core, your diaphragm. But really it's a matter of you're putting these very, very short breaths together. And notice what happens when you do a quick exhale. There's an automatic inhale. And it's not going to be anything really grand or spectacular. You're not jerking your shoulders up and down. It's just a gentle, like a quick blowing out of the breath. So you can put your hand on your belly. So you can, that just engaging the diaphragm might be enough for you, or you can maybe see if you can engage your pelvic floor and the lower abs while you're also contracting the diaphragm. So it's a whole. So in that case, your Kabalabhati might be a little bit slower, or you can do quick ones. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a full minute. All right. So we're going to start with a half inhale and exhale. So get yourself comfortable, spine straight. Let's do a half inhale. And let's begin. Last few seconds. Inhale. Exhale. Another inhale. Another exhale. One more. Exhale. Now feel just that little bubbling, that little high. You always wonder why we usually teach breath practice before we start meditation. You can see why. So then from here, you can just kind of roll back into a Shavasana and relax for 5 to 10 minutes. You can also play my Shavasana if you would like to. So I hope you enjoyed this. Sorry about some of the clunkiness and some of the dog interruptions. So wherever you are, find some balance, find some relaxation. Do it for yourself, but also do for the benefits of all beings. Take care.